Hi, my name is Tamta and welcome to My Kitchen, Her Story, where we celebrate all things female leadership. We aim to inspire, empower, and educate. Today's guest, she's a mother of 2 young children and a very passionate supporter of females. She has previously founded an angel group that invests and supports female entrepreneurs, and she's currently running her own business that she has co-founded. It's a tech venture-backed business, and I would love to introduce you to CEO and the co-founder of Sourcerie, Kristin Cardwell. Hi!
Oh. It's so nice to join you. Thank you so much.
So good
inviting me.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah, me too. I just have to warn you.
Tell me.
I cannot cook at all. When
the amount of times our guests were like, I can't cook. And then by the end of it, they were like, this is actually really good. And I really put that on me being a great sous chef.
Yeah,
but
absolutely,
also
absolutely.
taking you in a chef extraordinaire.
I walked out of my house this morning and my husband, he looked at me. I told him what I was doing. He looked at me very seriously and he goes, "You're going to tell them that you don't know how to cook, right?" He said it very seriously. "Please tell them you don't know how to cook."
Well, too late now.
I said, it's fine. It's really not about cooking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's absolutely not. Cooking is just a set, right? Like to relax you, because, some people have jitters in front of cameras, and we have many of them in this room. But also it's really ultimately for everyone getting to know you on a personal level and your journey and talk about your business and things that you feel passionate about.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to be here. So
amazing.
Let's do it.
So what are we cooking, not cooking today?
Okay, so we are cooking fish tacos.
Well, so much for I can't cook.
So yeah, basically it's a really simple, easy dish. So I'm half Mexican American.
Okay.
And the Mexican side of my family, they're very good. My grandmother, my nana, is an amazing cook. And she and my grandfather used to own their own restaurant, and this is not one of their recipes, but they're amazing. And basically anything, she can just like take ingredients and like make anything. And so my family traditionally, when we get together, we're a big family, and it's just making tacos kind of out of anything. It's very much like, it's an easy thing to do. It reminds me of family. It's, the ultimate comfort food. And it's really just, there's no set recipe. You just kind of throw things in. So I've picked a few things for us to just throw in.
Amazing. I love that.
And we'll see how it goes.
I think it's literally, we cannot fail. I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward. We have all the ingredients here, so I think we're good to go. So I'm going to maybe get started with chopping some onions. You want red onion, white onion?
We want red onion. We want
some cabbage.
Cilantro, which is what we call it. Instead of coriander, cilantro. Cabbage, we'll just chop up the cabbage. And really, we don't have to cook it. It's just going to be all
just a
raw
topping.
And toppings.
Right, and some avocado as well?
We'll chop the avocado.
But you don't want it as a guac?
No, I thought we would just do it easy as slices. Normally when I make guac, we'll chop everything super tiny, and it's like, we're going to keep it simple today. We're just going to throw it all into the taco.
Where does the garlic come in?
I don't know. I don't think that was on the list. We don't need it.
Garlic
so
is
we're gonna, and then we'll chop the jalapeno. Everything we're gonna chop.
Love
into
it.
various
Okay.
pieces.
Cool.
So
I'm gonna get started on that.
Okay. You do
to
that
make
one.
your life easy. And let's get started on some of your stories, because you had such a rich career.
Yeah.
But also such an amazing journey, even so far with Sourcerie, that I would love to touch upon. And I actually don't even get bored listening to it, and I've heard from you a couple of times now, and of your journey, because it's such an impressive, highly organized, efficient, successful story, how you girls set it all up. And I always use you girls actually as an example in my conversations with founders who are a little bit frazzled with the whole entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So you're kind of my go-to example role model.
Oh, that's really sweet.
But let's go a little bit back.
Yeah, okay.
And talk a little bit about your whole journey, your Nana, or who is your inspiration from your family that really kickstarted you in this life, not just career?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, I think my Nana is an inspiration in a way, actually, when I think about that side of my family. And, you know, my grandparents on my mother's side, who are Mexican, you know, having grown up in the US, but very much Mexican at their core in terms of their values and ethnicity and everything. You know, they owned their own Mexican restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Arizona. And, you know, it was really just like one of these local kind of jewels. And they ran it for many years. And, and I think that's probably where my entrepreneurship, that spark for entrepreneurship came from.
From your family running a restaurant and kind of witnessing that?
Yeah, and just having, you know, seen them, you know, really not come from very much and building up a restaurant in a local business. And so, I do sort of see my Nana as an inspiration in a way. And, you know, she didn't go to college, but then my mother did. And I think just kind of through generations, it's like a nice, looking to my mother and my grandmother, it feels, you know, I want to make them proud, right? I want to be kind of like,
is that your driving force?
I want to take the next generation kind of to the next level, I suppose.
Is that your driving force? Like, what really inspires you to make it?
Yeah, I think it's one of a few. I think one of the other things, you know, I was telling you, I'm really passionate about, you know, economic empowerment for women, not just women, but also I think sort of underprivileged communities or, you know, communities that are sort of more vulnerable. And I mean kind of both locally and globally. And so I've been involved in a few charities like Women for Women International, which helps women survivors of war. In my past life, I also did a bit of teaching when I had time off after business school. I taught like a business camp to kids who came from kind of underprivileged backgrounds. And I think I truly believe in this idea that, you know, talent is really equally distributed, but opportunity is not. And so, and I suppose that does probably comes from my family ultimately.
Is that where the inspiration came from when you're talking about the whole economical enablement and support for women?
I just truly believe that, you know, the more women that we see in power, you know, in businesses, in running businesses, you know, in politics, making decisions, you know, the more the world's just going to be a better place. And equally, you know, I think the more men we have kind of
championing,
participating in the home and like being active fathers and, you know, being part of their family lives, you know, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah. Is that what your family dynamic is? What kind of husband is your husband, or the father? To your two beautiful kids.
So I feel really lucky to have a great husband. So I have two boys, two really young boys, and so super passionate about economic empowerment for women, but also I'm the mother of two sons, and I want, you know, a better future for my two sons, right? And my husband's amazing.
Talking about children, there's like a child losing her shit outside. Can you hear it?
Yeah. It's like normal background for me. So
so you're like,
I'm always on like, you know, calls, and I've got, you know, my kids in the background, and it's completely normal. I just tune out at this point when I'm working.
So sorry, I interrupted you. So your husband.
But so my husband's amazing. He's a super active father. He's also a CEO. He is running a biotech business that is also venture backed. He's actually raised a lot more money than I have. Yet he is at home every single day, every evening, doing bedtime, bath time, like, you know.
Just being a good father.
Being a good father.
Right.
And, you know, it's both something that we've committed to. I mean, basically our lives are pretty boring at this point. We're both entrepreneurs. We both work like crazy. And if we're not working, we're with our kids, we're with our family.
Yeah.
And those are the most important things for us right now. It's career, and it's being there for our teams, it's leading our teams, it's driving our businesses forward, and our family, our kids.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really classify it as boring, because you are doing like a lot of different things, and you're wearing a lot of different hats. And so, and some of us can get really overwhelmed with running both life outside of home and inside of your home, right? With families and all of that. What was the inspiration behind starting Sourcerie?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think so. My co-founder Alex and I, we both have this kind of background in beauty and tech and startups, and we both suffer from eczema. It's skin condition, and it's uncontrollable. It flares up sometimes. There's no cure, right? But after my first pregnancy, I had eczema all over my neck and chest and arms and face. It was really bad. And the normal kind of steroid creams from doctors didn't do much. So I was looking to find a way to just control it naturally and just to calm it and soothe it. And I found that actually recommendations from people like me were the most helpful. So
who are going through it, right?
Exactly. And I was talking to more people. I was talking to Alex, and we just found over and over again that this power of a recommendation from someone just like you was always kind of the most helpful thing. And so we set out to scale that. We thought, can we scale the power of a one-to-one recommendation? Yeah. So that's really what Sourcerie is. It's a recommendation platform for beauty and consumer products. And for consumers, we help people find the best products for them based on people just like them. Yeah. And then we work with businesses, we work with both brands and retailers to personalize and power their own e-com solutions. So it was really born out of a personal frustration.
Right. And that makes sense. Usually the best businesses are the ones where it's a personal need, there's a gap, and you've identified that, and that's it, right?
Exactly. I mean, we set out to solve our own issues, really. And
So, there are so many people actually suffering with eczema. What was the secret sauce for you? Because I'm sure that would be also super helpful.
Yeah. So
for people to know.
It's a combination of the right products. So I use super gentle products now from lots of different brands. Right. Go to Sourcerie and find the right ones for you. But in addition, it's also healthy lifestyle, healthy diet. I don't eat gluten and dairy, for example.
And that helped.
That helped me personally. I found that I had sensitivities to that. But
it's such an individual.
Exactly, it's so individual.
And that's exactly what Sourcerie is all about. It's about finding your specific hero product.
Right products just for you. Every single person is an individual, and right now we're covering beauty and wellness and personal care. But in the future, you could imagine it could expand to anything. And actually, as we're starting to work with brands and retailers to power their own e-commerce solutions, we're working with like a dental care brand. We're working with all sorts of verticals, outside of traditional beauty. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a journey already. So we launched in March. So this year. Quite new this year. Yeah. We've been around for a few months now and just growing like crazy in terms of consumers using the platform and interest from brands and retailers. So
that's amazing. And I've been obviously following your girl's journey, but actually I want to take a step back and also talk about how you and Alex, your co-founder, found each other and qualified each other, because I think that's such a great, such a great trick or exercise that you to go through when you are trying to find a co-founder, because it's, in my opinion, it's almost harder than finding your life partner. Yeah, because when business and money is involved, it's so tricky.
It can get so complicated. And I've heard horror stories of co-founders breaking up, and I was talking to another entrepreneur who just split with her co-founder, and it's, it's such an important decision. So Alex and I met Alex actually through an amazing women's network, which is no longer super active, but quite similar to what you've set up in a way.
Yeah.
And so we met there, and we really just clicked. I think we had a lot of things in common on a personal level, and like kind of felt we had lived parallel lives in a way.
Yeah. Long lost sister.
Yeah, exactly. And both Americans living in London.
Yeah.
And yeah, both had done like international expansion professionally, personally, had both had really awful, very similar past breakups.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no. So yeah, we just got along on a personal level, but then also have very complementary personalities, I would say. You know, she's she's an engineer by background, so very structured, and her background's engineering, operations, tech, finance. She's worked in banking as well. My background is a bit more creative. I'm not an artist by any means, but a bit more of the creative side.
Yeah.
Sales, marketing, that sort of thing, business development.
Yeah.
And so just found that we were very complementary in the way that we kind of interacted and thought about problems. So we decided to actually like do this very intense kind of 50 question founder dating questionnaire. I don't know if you've ever seen the New York Times article about how to fall in love with someone. It's a series of if you ever want to fall in love with someone, it's actually
who doesn't?
It's a great tool.
Tell me more.
But there's this article that went viral years ago, and it was about 50 questions to kind of fall in love with someone. And it's a series of questions that you ask the person that you're dating, and you just get to know each other so well that you almost can't help but falling in love with that person by the end of the questionnaire. And which I actually did with my husband as well.
That could really backfire, but I mean for you.
But you get to know someone so well.
So deeply. And I guess like it's more like almost like a qualification of like, are we aligned on the kind of values and the core?
Yeah, it's hard to paint these scenarios, if this happened to your family, if someone got sick,
what would you do? Is it like a situational type of?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's like a mix of values, background, how you were raised, and then also kind of situational. So anyway, highly recommend it if you're ever dating someone and you want to get
you gotta have a potential.
But anyway, I did a very kind of similar, the equivalent of that with Alex, which is a co-founder dating questionnaire.
Where can people find that? Because I had so many people ask me about it.
Lots of VCs. I think we did the one from First Round Capital.
First Round Capital, and they have published that.
Published online. You just Google online, you can find a bunch of them pretty easily. But we liked this one because it was pretty comprehensive, and also kind of from the perspective of VCs. We wanted to raise a lot of money, build a big kind of billion-dollar business. So it really kind of challenges that, and that, what are you willing to do to get there, and how do you think about problems, and how much money are you willing to take, all these kind of questions. So we went through that, and it was a lot of situational stuff, a lot about your strengths and weaknesses.
And that's the thing, right? When you're looking for a co-founder, it's like you want to make sure that your skills complement each other, you fill each other's gaps.
Absolutely.
You're not necessarily, but at the core you're aligned, and with the vision you're aligned, and the passion.
Exactly. Exactly that. It's fundamentally, we know we're building the same thing together. We know where we're willing to compromise and not, and we have a shared vision, but we totally tackle problems in different ways. So it's helpful, because otherwise I think you butt heads, but also like you get to solutions much better, much faster when you tackle things in two different ways. So,
definitely. And you learn so much.
Yeah, exactly. You learn a ton. And it's funny because now I talk about having done this, a different questionnaire, but done this thing with my husband. And basically, like Alex and I always say, she's like, you're like my partner, and I'm kind of like your partner. Like basically,
you found basically your like a life partners in each other.
So really, it's like those sort of different personalities, like yeah, we find we work so well together.
Amazing.
I love how you're making all of this. Well done. I'm not having to give any direction or instruction, but this is exactly why we're making tacos, because that's actually too much. That's too much.
We'll just marinate
but you know,
in
it's
what?
like
Taco seasoning?
You just kind of do your thing. Yeah, I don't usually do this much, but you know,
it will be good because
we're
making cod.
Yeah.
So it's usually it's nice to flavor it.
I thought we would just have a little bit of kick. Yeah.
But it's not spicy or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's so we like flavor here.
Yeah. No, this is good. So we just, you know, it'll be a nice.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's not too much. Don't worry. Also, they can't taste it through a camera. But even if they could,
it's kind of hard to screw up tacos, you know.
Exactly. We're not screwing up tacos here. Perfect.
Let's put a little bit more oil.
Yeah, we have all the oils because did you tell us avocado oil?
Yeah.
So we brought you avocado oil.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna preheat this. Well, just switch on this.
Yeah, so we'll just put a bit of oil.
Look at you. I don't cook, but
But I can pour some oil.
you know. Amazing. So that's a super cool way of finding your co-founder, but also qualifying them. But then what I really also would love to talk about is how you girls raise capital.
Yes.
And we had so many guests where we kind of touched upon the capital raise, but I've been waiting for you to be our guest to really deep dive on it, because you did it in such a great way.
Yeah, it was very organized.
It was not just organized. She literally, for the first time ever that I've seen a female founder really level out the power dynamic around the table and really commanded those potential investors and investors to actually follow your process, your deadlines, and
very important.
And actually giving them an opportunity rather than them feeling that they're enabling you to run the business and found the business.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, I think we were, you know, we ran a great process, but also we were fortunate to come out with a good outcome. You know, I think it's so hard and rare to raise on an idea, but especially I think female founders, it's so rare that they raise on an idea. And we did that, you know, before we launched the business. So we ended up raising 1.8 million from both
just
VCs
an idea
and angels. An idea, we had fundamentals built, we had done a lot of the background work, right? The business plan and the kind of fundamental background, the backbone of the tech that we built. But there was still a lot to be done. But yeah, basically, so what I will say is this is not anything revolutionary, you know, in the way that we ran it.
But it's not common. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's just not.
But I spoke
it's also
to a lot of
common
founders
sense.
who had successfully raised. So that's the first thing I did, and that I recommend that to anyone.
So number one, speak to founders who have successfully raised and understand how they did it, what their best practices are.
Yeah, and this is my approach to life, honestly. I find out so much information through other people, you know, when I'm trying to figure something out. I go talk to someone who's done it before. It's the fastest way to learning. So I spoke to actually a lot of guys who had raised before. It's
a great way of learning. Yeah.
How did you do this? And they were really helpful. You know, they were like, look, different approaches, but I think one of the best pieces of advice I received was from the founder of Papier, actually, and he said, look, I'm a firm believer in process. I run a process. You go talk to this many people, you know, you set deadlines, you do this, and that. And so, you start with a huge, you know, you start with over 100 kind of potential investors and you narrow your way down. You obviously want to find investors with the best fit, but you need to start with a really wide pool of people that you're talking to, because it's the momentum, it's the amount of investors that you're speaking to. That's the only thing that really kind of, you know, that's what gives you the edge. That's what, you know, otherwise they're in the driving seat, right? You can't You have to run the process. Otherwise it runs you.
Let's make this try to make this kind of like a digestible, I guess, for the audience. So like number one, we said, talk to people who have successfully done that and learn from them. Number two is have a good, healthy sales pipeline.
Yeah, sales pipeline. It's a sales pipeline.
Sales pipeline, right? Totally. Like it's a numbers game.
Huge, top of the funnel.
Yeah.
For people that have not worked in sales, it's like marketing. If you've worked in marketing, you have a funnel of people that you're trying to make aware of your product or service.
Right.
This is the same thing. It's like fundraising for a business. You're trying to start with that large funnel and then narrow it down.
Yeah.
So you kind of define, who you're speaking to. You need to know a lot about them. I think also, one of the things I learned in business school was negotiation is all about information. The more information that you have, the better negotiator you can be, right?
And I would say that's like the step 3, right?
Yeah.
It's more about do your homework
Yeah.
and understand what drives these people.
Yeah.
What is their not just corporate goal when it comes to finding businesses and investing in them, but also personally, why would they feel that they want to support you?
Yeah.
Why do they, how can you make them feel that you can, that make them feel, and turning them into an ally and a champion, right?
Exactly. They've got so many things that they could invest in. Why is your business the thing? And I love that you're doing all the cooking here. I'm just talking.
Just stuck to the pan a little bit.
Amazing. Just,
F it up a little bit, but it's fine.
Great work.
Yeah.
And I think you have to kind of, not that the pitch has to be personal to every single investor.
Tailored.
But you tailor a bit. So that's the other thing, is kind of tailor the messaging. But you set a really tight period. And I guess that can be, this can be risky in a way, right? You could kind of set, a few weeks, and then you don't get a term sheet by the end of that period, and then you're still out there.
Yeah.
But
I think like the way you guys did it, I think that would be my number 4? Was it 4?
Sure.
5?
Number 4.
Number 4
set deadlines.
Set deadlines. Yeah. And so like have that goalpost.
Yeah. So
and then
we're gonna speak to 100 people within 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Keep it tight.
Keep it tight.
Yeah.
This is the process. Step 1, how many meetings is it gonna take to get to that closing meeting or closing call?
And I think that's the other thing, I think a lot of entrepreneurs can be afraid to also kind of be really direct about the process on investor side. You need to understand kind of immediately, like, what's their investment mandate, how much will they invest in terms of range, is this are you in that range, what's their process for getting sign-off, so do they have an investment committee meeting, and what day of the week is that, and that kind of, if it's only once a month, that can really impact your process versus if it's once a week.
So let's simplify this and kind of list. Would you say top 3, 5 things that you need to know about your potential investor for you to run the process successfully?
That you need to know about your potential investor. I think the number 1 thing is just making sure that your company fits their mandate, right?
Okay, so thesis alignment.
Thesis alignment.
Okay.
Right. The number 2 thing is, this is a really big thing right now. Are they actually deploying capital? Are they actually investing?
Do they have cash, and are they investing?
Do they have cash?
Right.
A lot of VCs are not investing right now.
Yeah.
A lot of angels are not investing right now.
Yeah.
And they'll still take a lot of meetings. I mean, I've heard horror stories recently of just founders chatting to investors for months.
Yeah, having actual commitments. On our actually community, we had a couple of girls who went through, actually one of the business totally went under because of the committed investor pulling out last minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible.
So
that's a slightly different thing, right? That's somebody who's committed that's pulled out. But I think before you go into these long, drawn-out conversations, you need to understand if they're actually going to invest or if they're just trying to learn about, they're trying to keep a pulse on the landscape.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. Number 3?
Number 3, those are my top things, really.
Know their processes?
Yeah, know their
So around the
process,
IC and decision making, basically process. Like, what is it that they would need?
Decision makers are, know who you're speaking to, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs will say you can only speak to partners, you need to speak to partners, and that's great if you can, but actually the deal leads for us were not partners at the funds, they were actually more junior level, but they still have a lot of say in their funds and they're great. Like, we love working with them. So
yeah, absolutely. But also, like, you want to make sure that you have those on the ground team on your side too. Those analysts are the ones doing research, those analysts are the ones putting deals forward to those partners, and so you want to make sure that you excite them and your business excites them as well, and you have them on your side.
And honestly, like, sometimes it's just whoever you can get to, right? And on that note, it's always helpful to get warm introductions. So I did a lot of work up front. Warm introductions. I did a lot of work up front, going through my own network and trying to work out who was connected to who could introduce me. I know you've done a lot of work with that in sales, right? In your past life.
And even now, like, when I work with, on my other side of the business, that's not very glamorous and not a show, or doesn't really involve, us cooking or anything like that. On the other side, when I work with my clients on really strategic capital raise, I always like to dive into their network, the immediate one, before even expanding into who are the institutional investors, who are the VCs that they want to bring on board. And in fact, actually, when we dive into that immediate network, the challenge I have faced or observed that those founders have is actually asking for money from people closest to them. Because they feel such a big responsibility.
I have an opinion on this. I don't have a ton of people in my direct network of friends that invest a lot or at all in startups. But basically, the people that I thought would be helpful in terms of giving their opinion on the business plan, I actually sought the advice of a lot of different people. Look at my pitch deck. What do you think? Like, can you help me make this better? Before I went out to any investors. And it was actually through that process that some people just offered to invest. I didn't ask.
And that's such a great way, right? Like, that's another thing. Bring them on the journey with you. Right? And help them shape your value prop of even a product and service sometimes.
And like, help shape the way you present the idea, right? Because most of the time, I think, this external advice from investors, they're never going to tell you how to run the business or what the vision should be or how to make the product. But what they're good at helping you understand is, are you communicating the thing effectively? And is it coming off, in a way that is investable, right? And it was just through that process that the pitch got better. Like, you have to go out and you have to kind of go out with humility, knowing like the first thing is not going to be amazing. Tell me how to make it better. So I go to other entrepreneurs and I'm like, tell me how to make this better. Now, even in my now that we're working on a B2B basis, like selling our tech to other businesses.
As in, like, white labeling it?
Yeah, exactly. And through that, I'm constantly gathering feedback, right? Every time I talk to a potential customer or an existing customer that gives us feedback, I'm constantly refining, the way that we communicate what we do, constantly refining like the actual tech and the product. It's that constant iteration and feedback. I think, generally in startups, they talk a lot about iteration being really important, right? But I think it's more than just like iterating based on what you want to do. It's very much about like listening to the feedback from your customers. And the investment process is the same. Getting feedback from potential investors. So.
Definitely. I think cod is kind of ready, but that's just cod is flaky. So like, it's fine.
It's fine. This is great. It's gonna be great.
Don't flake it out more.
Well, but we have to.
We'll do it here. No?
Okay.
Should we like? Put
it but it's got to be into little.
Into little pieces?
Well, we've got to have multiple tacos, right? At least 2.
Yeah, we can.
But
and
anyway,
the guys are looking at like, we want more tacos.
I was going to say though, so, you know, we ran this like really process-driven kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can have like all the plans in the world and all the process in the world, and things never go to plan.
Yeah,
right? They
that's
never go to
important
plan.
one. Yeah,
and
it's like but you gotta be. How can you be ready for those things to go south?
I think you just have to know that whatever you've planned is never the outcome.
Okay.
Be prepared for that.
So you can plan for it, but you also need to have a
You need
backup plan.
Yeah, you need to have sort of your backup plan if plan A doesn't go according to plan, what's plan B, plan C? You know?
No, exactly.
And again, like constantly calibrate as you're learning. But in this case, because you were asking about our first fundraise, you know, really interestingly, we got a term sheet. So we got an offer, our first offer. We got multiple offers.
And I'm sure that's like such an exciting moment.
It was so exciting.
Yeah.
We got our first offer, our first term sheet.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a few days later, it actually got rescinded.
Stop. They pulled back, or?
So they pulled back because there was a founder already in their portfolio that they had already invested in that felt we were too competitive.
So it was a conflict of interest, huh?
They felt
Maybe.
so. I didn't feel so. Obviously, the original investor didn't feel so. So I then had to go and like chat with this founder directly and this guy.
Oh, I think
and I had to go
story.
speak with him and basically just kill him with kindness, but also, you know, really kind of in a matter of fact way, like, this is why we're not competitive.
Right.
This is
actually
why we could be complementary and work together.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to convince him, that he needed to go back and say it's okay to invest. But he hadn't just done it with that one VC. He had multiple VCs that had already invested in his business.
So it was a really crucial
he was
point.
going around town and telling everyone not to invest in us because it was
Stop it.
Yeah,
you know who you are. He will see this and be like, should have done better.
But after that conversation, actually, the term sheet came back. So
amazing.
The investor then came back to us and said,
right,
you know what, it's fine.
It's fine, let's do it.
Let's do it.
And I actually also, like, we're going to stop talking about fundraising in a second and maybe start tasting this amazing taco that I humbly assisted on. Actually,
all you.
I just wanted to make you feel comfortable. And I love cooking, so I'm like, let's just do it. Actually, there was one time where a VC wanted to come in, but you guys were closing already the fundraising round, and you were like, we are happy to allocate our time. Yeah. We're happy to pitch, but you have 5 days to turn this around.
That's
and
true.
That's
true.
It's very rare.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I know you, Jenny. I know you. So I'm like, and that's like,
because we already had offers, and so we were like, look, this is,
and that's how you're in a position of power. You had offers. You're not chasing. You're not begging.
Yeah, and it's you can only have multiple offers at one time if you condense it into that really intense period. So when I see founders trying to pitch over, really long periods of time with an investor here and an investor there, very difficult.
Yeah.
You really have to, you should have a period of 4 weeks where you're just in meetings back to back to back to back. And it is intense. I remember talking to a female founder, giving her this advice, and she was like, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of work. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
You think that's a lot of work. Running the business is even more work. So,
but also, like, it's a lot of work for like
do it.
a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
But then, can you imagine the stress levels when it's stretching over a year?
Yeah.
Too.
But entrepreneurship is constantly. It's very demanding, and so I think you had asked me about my advice for entrepreneurs, and
I was gonna. There you go.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you actually advice for entrepreneurs, but also maybe specifically tech entrepreneurs, because technology, it's we all know now that we have an outside noise here because there's a busy street outside, so that's fine. But I specifically wanted to ask you for an advice for tech entrepreneurs, because I think there is actually a huge difference running a tech business and almost anything else. Is there one single thing that you would really tell them, or like top 3, whatever works for you?
Yeah, well, I think anything that's kind of high growth or tech enabled. What I was going to say is it's really not, it's not glamorous. I know that we're dressed up today cooking, and it's lovely.
Yes.
It's a really nice
It's a nice
place.
change?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
It's really nice.
Good.
But this is why I can't cook, because I don't have any time. It's not glamorous. It's a lot of work, and I think it's just important to kind of know, if you want to take this path, you are responsible for the livelihood of employees. You're responsible for returning 10x shitload of capital to your investors. There's a lot of responsibility, and it's really it's fun. Like, I love the creation aspect of it, and I love this fast moving kind of pace, but yeah, it's a lot, and it can be a lot. And I think if you do, one, I think you have to want that and know what's ahead, but 2, if you choose that path, I think it's also important that you separate your kind of personal life from your business life in a way. Like, you are much more than just the business that you're building. I see some entrepreneurs that just get so, it's full of highs and lows, right? And in the down moments, they can get really down, and it can be really hard. And
and then it can really impact the business. Is that?
No, I mean, it can impact them personally.
Personally, okay.
And I think it's important to just separate out, you are more than the business that you're building, right? Like, obviously, we're very mission driven. I'm really mission driven, and I have a reason and a vision for this business, but I'm still more than just that business.
So don't take things personally.
Don't take it so personally, because you're going to get so many rejections. You're going to have so many investors telling you no. You're going to have so many people not understanding what you're building. You're
questioning it.
Yeah, questioning it. This doesn't make any sense in the early days, right? Because you're manifesting something. You're having to create something that doesn't exist, and so you've got this thing in your head, and you can't do it all at once. You can't build it all at once.
Yeah.
And so you're constantly trying to find those building blocks and the path to get there. And so there are a lot of doubters. You get a lot of no's. So you just have to know that, have confidence in what you're building, but also you're more than just that thing.
Amazing.
Also, lots of businesses fail, and that's fine.
But also, I know actually quite a few entrepreneurs who are the entrepreneurs that they are today, wildly successful, because they had 10 failed startups before.
Exactly.
And
you learn so much.
And it's very painful, and it is a luxury to be able to be that entrepreneur who has failed 10 times and it still has a luxury to go restart.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And honestly, I couldn't have come out of school and not made any money and started a startup.
Yeah.
I didn't have that luxury when I was 21, 22.
Yeah.
And it's kind of over time that I've been able to, I can take that risk now.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Shall we try this?
Yeah.
A little taco situation. I try to assemble it in a cute little way.
There. It looks really good.
Right?
And I think you did a great job. Well done. I didn't do anything. Told you I couldn't cook. Thank you very much.
No, I'm sure you could have done this exactly the same or better. So we're gonna now.
Very complicated dish.
Very complicated but delicious dish. Do you want to stand that side? Do you want to stand this side?
I'll stand.
She was like, "This is my good side." Should have told me in the beginning. You, my girlfriend, have no bad side, so I'm sorry to break it to you.
Oh, you're sweet.
So tell me.
So here are our tacos. We're just gonna put a bit of fish in first.
So
and then
we put the fish
whatever
in there?
you like, as much.
You
cilantro.
guide me on this, huh?
Yeah.
So
I would
fish,
put a bit
less-
more. Yeah.
there you go.
Come on.
Don't be stingy.
And then, slice of avocado. You've got to sprinkle the salt on top of the avocado.
Woo.
I'll do that for you.
You do the
And then we
sprinkling.
will do you like spicy? Do you like jalapeno?
Sure.
See, this basically with my family, when we're doing large gatherings, we just put everything out.
Yeah.
And everyone does their own stuff.
Right.
So it's the easiest way.
We'll put a bit of jalapeno. There you go. Maybe
Bit of cilantro, bit of cabbage.
Crunch.
My husband always finds this very difficult, by the way. He's like, no, but like, what exactly do I need to put in? Because he's so precise. And I'm
Where
like,
is he from?
Where is he from? So he grew up in London.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because like I was telling, we had a guest the other day, and she was like, you know, we don't measure ingredients. I'm like, I'm Georgian. We never measure ingredients.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I called my mom
We
and I
don't
was
either.
like, but it's hard because when you've never made that dish,
Yeah.
you're like, but I don't know. Like, do I put 1 spoon or 10? Like, you need some sort of.
And my, you know,
lime.
Yep. I don't do lemon, just lime.
Yep.
Yeah, and salsa, but I don't think we have salsa today, but that's fine.
Nope.
But yeah, you know, my grandparents, my grandmother, she's just, you know, she knows how to throw things together, and it just marinates amazingly, and she does
so
meat
I
really
actually
nicely.
made my own, so
I'm gonna make my own now.
you're gonna make your own now, and I'll wait for you, because I want you to.
Mine's already falling apart.
Well, don't stab cod like that. It's a delicate fish. I'm salivating right now.
I'm actually really hungry.
What are you? She's like, kill the cod.
Here we go.
Cod is already dead, by the way.
See, I told you I couldn't cook. I don't know.
This is
I
not
don't know how
cooking.
to handle things delicately. No, and I you
Should
know,
I do it for you?
maybe you should just
Let me.
maybe you should cook the whole thing. Oh, you did.
There you go. Do you like it spicy?
Yep, I do.
Is that good?
Perfect.
More?
No, that's great.
Put more. Should I do lime?
Yep, just the lime and then some salt.
Yum! All right.
Okay.
Cheers, girlfriend.
Cheers.
Fresh?
I thought if I don't spill on my silk blouse by the end of the show,
No,
it
you're
will be
good.
a success.
You're literally like squeezing these poor joggers, like holding on for dear life. It's good. Yum. Actually, I don't know why I didn't bring the plate. Dripping all over this poor fish. I actually want to take another piece because it was like all.
You're like, okay, show done now. We're just gonna eat.
I think we did well. The guys are like, sorry guys. We're like munching here. Okay, put it down. We'll finish it in after the filming, but before we finish, you had a bit of a spoiler, which is annoying.
I'm sorry.
No.
What's up?
You had a spoiler, so I wanted to surprise you with a little gift, but just act surprised. Roses.
Oh, thank you.
To say thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Oh, these are
Thank
so
you
nice.
so much. Thank you for such an educational session. No, it was really great.
so
And I
much.
think there are so many women that will benefit from learning how you run your business and
thank
from
you.
listening to your journey.
Thank you. It was so nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.